Hi, welcome to Drug Knitter Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia. Welcome to this show. Before we get started, don't forget to check the links below. I have my merch shop still running. I have a Patreon page still running. I am going to change my Patreon stuff and make it more exciting for next month. So if you're already a patron, first, thank you. And then look out for some fun changes just because I feel like it's getting a little stale after a year. Also, I am going to announce how much money we had raised to support the National Share Organization. So here you can see that we actually donated $373.17 to the Share Organization this year. So that's super exciting. So yay. Okay, back to the video now. For those who don't know, the National Share Organization is a nonprofit that helps families navigate infant and child loss and pregnancy loss. It is a wonderful, wonderful program, a wonderful company. And for the month of August, I have donated all proceeds for the Joy Shawl. Well, the Joy Shawl is always going to that. But for the Touch of Joy Shawl, 50% of all pattern sales on Ravelry are going to the National Share Organization. So yay. And if I sound out of breath and hoarse, it's because I am, and I'm sorry. I think I just scared Bunny. Sorry, Bunny. Let's get this show on the road. Today we are going to talk about blankets, knitting blankets. It always scared the bejesus out of me, but with fall being on the horizon and it's blanket season, y'all. I went to a football game last night and I wish I had a hand knit blanket or at least a crochet blanket or something. So we're going to talk about some blanket methods. Let's get started. So I found that a lot of people recently love doing blankets made out of roving. And for those who know what roving looks like, let me see if I can. This is what roving looks like. Looky here. I got everything at my disposal right now because my office is completely trashed. So everything is like around me because I'm organizing it. But this is what roving looks like. And you might notice on Instagram and on Pinterest and on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of people actually doing what they call arm knitting or hand knitting and turning this roving, be a longer piece, of course, into a throw blanket. Now this looks very beautiful. I'm gonna link pictures right here. Bam. It's a very, very beautiful way to knit a blanket. Very easy way to knit a blanket. However, you have to realize this is just roving. There is no twist to it whatsoever. So this blanket that you make out of roving, as soft and as beautiful as it is, it's going to be very hard to launder without it pilling. You're going to have to hand wash it. Oh my goodness. I hate even hand washing a sweater, okay? Let alone a blanket. It's 2019, almost 2020, okay? I ain't hand washing a blanket. But the issue with using roving also is that it's not yarn, you know what I mean? So it's not a method that I recommend. It just doesn't hold up. It pills easily. I know a lot of people say, oh, it goes with the rustic look. Look, if I spend hours knitting something and it starts pilling, that literally gives me hives of like stress. It literally stresses me out. And so I do not recommend that. As much as I love roving, I say roving for my spinning. Another way that we like to make blankets is just, you start off with really chunky, huge. Yeah, I got everything at arm's reach. Yeah, my room's a mess. Leave a comment below if you want to watch me organize my room. I love watching room organizing videos. If you want to watch me organize my craft space, leave a comment below and let me, oh, that's obnoxious, and let me know. So another thing that people do is that they use these giant knitting needles too, which is really big yarn. This method is not ideal. Ouch. Okay. The biggest thing with this, well, first you might notice, but Sophia, it's short. How do they make a blanket with this? You just knit a lot of big squares and it takes literally no time. The issue with that is that, again, because your stitches aren't super tight, you're going to get a lot of pilling. And if you're going to spend a lot of time on something, do you want to have to shave the pills off of it every time you wash it? I think not. Okay. Also, this is going to hurt. Knitting a blanket with such heavy needles on your poor little wrists, it's going to hurt. I mean, I already have carpal tunnel. I talked to y'all about it. Thank you for y'all who gave me great suggestions on what to do, like what knitting wise. But I just can't imagine knitting with these nonstop. I also have a crochet hook this size, but it's like buried. So this is not a great method either. I mean, it's fun, it's novel, it's something that you can do like in a night, but to dedicate a whole blanket holding these, it's gonna be an owie. Like, I'm really mad I bought these. These are really heavy. They almost weigh, like, they feel like they weigh like a quarter to a half pound. Ouch. But my favorite way to knit a blanket is, you ready? Are you ready for this jelly? Okay. Now, I spoke about this on my channel, but I never went into great detail. Okay? Let me see if I can pull them all out. My favorite way is mitered squares. Look at these guys. How cute. Look at that. Look at these stripes. How stinking cute are these little guys? Now, this might look hard. It's the easiest thing to knit. I'm going to link a video below, the one that I use. I'm spitting because I'm excited. The one that I use. I'm going to link the video below and show you exactly how I do this method. It's not my video, okay? I don't make instructional videos that much unless it's for a pattern. Because if it's already out there, use it, okay? But I absolutely love mitered squares. And for those who don't know, mitered squares start off from the bottom and you knit all the way to the top. And you just start off like this brown stripe right here. That is my cast on edge. And then every other row, I am doing decreases down the middle. So you just work a series of decreases all the way to the top until you only are left with like 1 or 2 stitches. It is the easiest way to make a square. These make great dishcloths. They also make really good, what are those things? Pot holders? Yes, I don't use those. I just put it on my counter. But it's just a really easy method to make a square. And what I love about knitting blankets this way is that you don't have to drag an entire blanket with you because you're just knitting it square by square. And what that does is that at the end, you just sew them together.
Special delivery.
My baby. Bunny. And so it's great. You just take one square with you as you go. And then you can actually sew them together any way you like. This is the way that I like to do it. I just think this looks really psychedelic and like almost 70s inspired. What do you think, Buns? You like it? I think she likes it. And it's great because like even though like you might think that's a lot of sewing, you can also knit them in a way where you can just pick up stitches on the edges and then start off another mitered square. It is so stinking easy. Now, the type of yarn that I like to use for these blankets, whenever I knit a blanket, you know, I already said I don't like roving. I don't like using really big yarn because it pills. I absolutely stand by the tri and true acrylic yarns. They can get anywhere. I'm currently using Red Heart Super Saver. It comes in a skein that looks like this. Okay, mine's all messy because I've been using it for a year or two making this blanket. But the beauty of this type of yarn is that it can last for decades. I mean, I've already done a video on this. I'm going to link it at the end of this video where you can see it. But I already did a video where I talked about how my mom has a blanket for my grandmother and she crocheted it like, oh gosh, like maybe 50 years ago. And it's still in rotation at her house. And it's made out of Red Heart Super Saver from like the 60s. Like, it's insane how, or rather the 70s, I guess, time's flying. It's really insane how long this yarn can last and be put in the washer and in the dryer. Now, it is acrylic. It's not exactly as eco-friendly. I think wool is a wonderful thing to use as well. It's just a little more expensive if you have the budget for it. I do recommend superwash if you're going to do a blanket, just because you can throw it in the washer. Again, I don't hand wash blankets. I don't like to lay them out to dry. It's 2019. I just don't have time for that, okay? But the beauty of wool, though, if you do a wool blanket and you don't use superwash, is that you don't have to wash it as much because wool doesn't get soiled as easily as like other fibers. It's pretty resistant to oil and like sweat and everything. Wool is like a beautiful fabric, a beautiful fiber to work with. But acrylic is just my favorite. Cotton's good. Cotton just is not as warm and squishy. I mean, now they're doing a lot of cotton synthetic blends that are great. But I just love me an acrylic blanket. It's just so cozy. You don't have to go for the expensive stuff. I feel like a Skyn's a few bucks. I mean, it's fairly like inexpensive. I think I spent like $20 for all the yarn to make this blanket, which is not even done yet. But I pretty much have all my yarn, and it's going to be a queen size blanket. So a $20 queen size blanket is actually a really good steal. Just gotta put in the time to knit it. Ain't that right, Bunny? So here's some quick tips with using mitered squares and sewing them together. When I sewed my mitered squares together, as you can see, I pretty much joined them seamlessly. And I did that. I actually sewed them together like this on the wrong side. You can see what I did. And I literally just did a mattress seam. And I'm going to link that below. If you never did a mattress seam, you're probably already like, you probably don't recognize what it's called, but you've probably already did it, if that makes sense. It is pretty much the most basic seam that's used in all your knitting. I mean, it is used in like almost all sweater knitting when you knit in pieces versus all in one piece. It is a very easy and efficient way to knit. So I highly recommend you check out that link. I'm going to put it below. I had a mattress seam, but I literally just mattress seam them together. And I just made sure to match up the stripes so that way it's not too wonky. And these haven't been washed or blocked yet, so they're going to be even straighter when they're done. Now, I don't know how I'm going to arrange these. I'm just probably going to do random, like 70s psychedelic feel to it. That's why I pick really bright colors and everything. It's going to be so sickening. All right, everybody, that's it for today's podcast. If you have a favorite knitted or crocheted blanket pattern, even if it's arm knitting, if you have a favorite pattern or a favorite method that you like, please talk about it below. Let me know. Also, let me know if you want to see me organize my space. I think that'd be a really fun video. Anyway, Bunny and I were going to get ready to go and enjoy our Saturday. So have a great week, and I'll see y'all next time. Say bye, Bunny. Bye-bye.